looking at the section of the book, which is in fact chapter 2, this chapter here, which is to do with photo opportunities at your wedding. The idea is that I've divided it into, I think it's 14 scenes. Scene 1 deals with bridal preparations, scene 2, groom and best man. On what I'm going to do today, that's my little marker, is scene 8, which is signing the register. And what I'm hoping, well, I'm doing it, I'm going to do it, is I'm putting together, based on experience obviously, what happens at each phase of the wedding and what can be done in terms of the photography, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's achievable. It's often different to what you want, unfortunately. So I'm trying to cover all those things and say to you, this is the process, this is a wedding, this is where photography fits in, and the points at which you can, point at which is good for documentary photography. Some bits of it are good for that. There's some parts where it's hard to get away from posing pictures, because one of the constants when we had studio, we had often a bride would come in, not my brides, luckily, and they would have a set of pictures and they'd be not very happy, and one of the things they say is, well, I never got a picture of me with all the bridesmaids. And I say, well, okay, what kind of photography what style of photography did you actually go for? And they might say documentary or reportage. And I would say, okay, well, if you never stood together with your bridesmaids, you can't blame the man or woman for not getting that picture, because they don't post pictures. Documentary photographers photograph things as they happen for real. That's explained in the book, and the roots of it in reportage photography, which is a media thing, a newspaper thing, basically. But anyway, so, that you say, well, you got what you paid for, really, because you got told the guy, don't pose any photos. So he didn't. And so you can't complain. Often, the complaints would have been much more deep than that, and usually at a much more fundamental level, and I often felt really sorry for people, but I couldn't get involved, unfortunately, obviously. Anyway, back to the thing. The section, scene 8, as I've called it, signing the register, and what's it all going to be about. In a church, this often involves the bride and groom, the bride's companion, all the parents, bridesmaids, best man, and the 2 witnesses, if these are not drawn from that group I've mentioned already. And the priest or vicar will let you know who should be involved if you're not quite sure. This is very often a very jolly affair, being the first moment when the couple begin their married life. And congratulations and tears abound. At a church, the signing is usually done in the vestry, which is a small room off the main body of the church. Some of these rooms are also used by the priest or vicar as a kind of dressing room, and consequently they can be a little untidy. But an experienced photographer will be prepared for that, and he'll coat. At this stage, normally in a church, I would say don't go near flash photography. It should all be done with available light, except flash is normally allowed, if required, in the signing of the register, even if it's actually in part of the church, the actual church proper, and not the vestry. They will allow you to use flash at that point. Coming down the aisle is another point where a photographer would use flash. Everything's moving. It's usually a bit dim if it's a church. And there's this problem with movement that you get. People come out slightly blurred because they're moving. It's alright if it's the arms and legs, but if it's your head, it's a bit of a bugger. Never mind. Anyway, I'm talking about the vestry and signing register. I've always liked this part of a wedding, and the fact that it happens in a sort of private place away from all the guests. It gives the bride and groom precious moments together, and everybody else gets an opportunity to touch up their hair and their makeup. Well, the girls, and some of the blokes, I bet. At a wedding venue, it all happens in the same space, and all your guests will witness the signing of the register. The same may sometimes happen in a church, where the register signing is carried out to one side of the altar, and that would be in full view of everybody. But whether it's in a church or a venue, The act of signing the register is very important, and the officials cannot allow any mistakes in the information that gets recorded. Many officials were not even allowed the register itself to be in the photographs, and certainly you can't take pictures of the detail of the page. Occasionally, a vicar or a priest, they might use a dummy register for the formal photography, and this avoids accidental marks when the bride poses holding her pen. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why would I be posing in a photo of myself signing the register when I've just finished signing for real? And that is a good question. Because when the real photograph, the real signing happens, everybody's kind of bent over. They've got like I've got to get this right and everything. And so, you get the top of people's heads, you see, there, like that. And the photographer can't say, look up, at that point, because it's a solemn business. Signing the register's got to be done right. You can't distract people. So, the actual signing can look good, if you're lucky. It can, more often than not, just be the tops of people's heads. And of course, the signatures aren't made at the same time. It'll be called up and they'll do it separately. And sometimes the actual signing, people will rather you didn't photograph it. The official might say, please don't photograph this. That's rare these days, but it is a possibility. That's due to the confidentiality of the information that's in the register. If you get a photograph of it, you're not only going to get your bride's page, you're going to get the bit over here where someone else has signed and said that their mum and dad were this, that and the other. So you can't get any detail from the register. So anyway, it mustn't be readable. So a set-up photo sometimes is the only option. And while it's possible to get a good shot of an actual signing, assuming this is allowed, they're not always include all the principal people in the room. In a small vestry, for example, they'd be sort of crammed around the room in all four corners, watching it happen. Then a venue, after the bride and groom have signed, each witness will be called up in turn to sign, and then they return to their seats. So you don't get everyone together. And everybody else has to stay in their seats for the signing. In a contemporary set of photographs, there would be a group shot including all the participants listed at the start of this bit. And it's up to you if you want to pose record of the moment. In both the church vestry and the wedding venue, it will not happen unless you actually ask for it to happen, the actual set-up picture. Unless you make it happen. I mean, the vicar or the priest or the registrar, if you're using a venue, will prompt the taking of a photograph in most situations, because if they've kind of been a bit stuffy about doing it during the real thing, they then come and say, well, no, we'll have a photo now. And in the venue, the registrar, venues are much more relaxed obviously, registrars are more relaxed than vicars and priests. In a venue, the registrar will often call the guests forward and let them have a photo, take the photos on their cameras and phones and stuff like that. So, but that that can well be something that will happen because the officiant does it for you. And especially when they've not allowed a proper picture, it's only fair. A wedding venue, this is a great moment for the guests to join in with their cameras. They love all that. In a church, they must stay in their seats, so they can't take photos. It's only going to be your official photographer who's doing it. So that's trying to give you an idea of the sort of information I'm covering in the book. If I go here, talking about the signing there, heads up and down and stuff like that, I've actually used two pictures here. Can I show you that? There's two pictures there. Oh, the one on this picture here is kind of an actual signing. You see they're both obviously looking down at what they're doing. Now that's fine, that's nice in its own way. This picture here, again, it's a real thing, but he's looked up at her, so you can get, nice things happening in a natural environment. That there is a sort of an example of what a posed picture could look like. You can sort of set it up like that, and they're all looking down at the register as if it was being signed. And it's nice to have it because you can look back in the years to come and you'll be saying, who was there? And if you don't do these pictures, you may hate them, fine, don't have them. But at the same time, in years to come, you might want to sit there in your dotage and look back and say, oh, I remember there's my mum and my dad, and oh, wasn't little Lizzie when she was just 15, doesn't she look lovely? So you've got to decide all that kind of stuff yourself. But anyway, that's scene 8 in my reckoning of the photo opportunities at your wedding, and that dealt with photos taken in the vestry or the venue of the signing of the register. So this is the book, available at all good websites that happen to be called savvy-bride.co.uk, and it's there for 20 quid. Very fair price, I think. So I hope you've found this useful and informative about the book, and I look forward to seeing you amongst my list of satisfied customers, which is growing slowly but surely. I'll get you all. Thank you for watching.